We started jacking up the house. Wow, this is a big step in our old home renovation. We bought this house knowing we need to fix the main center beam of this house. This is the episode where we share a few pieces of how we tackled this project, why this project needed to happen, and what we are doing to fix it, along with sharing a few mistakes that we made along the way. But before we get to that, we need to do some cleanup. So let's grab some batteries before we head upstairs. If you've been following along, these spaces are not new to you, but if you are new here, this is the attic space. Our plan is to use this as an office, playroom, studio, potential Airbnb someday. In a previous video, I talked all about the design plans for these 3 spaces, so make sure that you watch episode 3 if you want to learn more about the design vision and timeline. So we left a lot of the chimney debris up here and it needed to get cleaned up. I decided I could just add to the mess on floor 2 by sweeping it down the chimney hole and eventually using our little Makita blower to really get all the dust and insulation down the stud bays, since there wasn't any insulation here, since we still have to clean up downstairs still. I also found a hornet's nest in the window, which I'm going to let my husband Tyler deal with, and you'll get to meet him in this video. Also, if you're new here, I'm Katelyn. I'm a wife and a mom of 2, and my husband and I are renovating this 1890s home while also working full-time. I'm working to get my teaching license and Tyler works for himself. This is our 3rd home we have owned, and we both enjoy working on homes and fixing them up together. So once all the debris and dust was cleaned up, I headed down to the 2nd floor, and what a fun surprise. We have replaced Stoolie Stool. We had a good run, but this workbench is pretty sweet. I'm not fallen off yet. Huge win for the program. Shout out to Stoolie Stool. Now replacing Stoolie Stool came at the perfect time. By getting this workbench, I was able to pull the bajillion lath nails that were waiting for me in floor 2, and it just so happened that this was the perfect height where I could stand up directly. There was no bending over, and it was divine design, I swear. Also, I thought I'd be able to capture all of this on camera, but I was wrong. I ended up misplacing my tripod, and I was totally not looking forward to this project. So a lot of my filming today ended up being very blurry and just not my best work. I am pretty pumped about this workbench. It's going to be so nice. And I mean, just look at it. She's a beaut. Thanks, Stoolie Stool 2.0. I was able to get all of the nails pulled, even though I was totally not looking forward to this part. But I just put on a podcast, got in the zone. It was a good few hours of work, which you can see how slow it can go. So I would start in one section, and I was only able to get down maybe once or twice off of Stoolie Stool 2.0. So yeah, here I am, just pulling all the nails that were left from the lath on the ceiling and in the walls. So I started in one corner of a room, worked my way across, and then once I got to the end wall, I would look on the studs for all of the nails in the wall studs. Luckily, I had been pulling a lot of these prior to this day, so it saved me a lot of time. Some of them we pounded in, but I realized that majority of these needed to come out because we're going to be installing drywall and other things, and just having clean studs would just help us so much. I know I've shared this in a previous video, like thrive on putsy projects like this and like super detailed things like this. Like that's why you don't see a whole lot, because I mean, watching me pull nails is really not that exciting, but it needed to happen, and I have an uncanny ability to get things done in the most efficient way possible. And my husband came and check out the progress with my daughter. I was able to get all of it done in one day. So now we're going to transfer over to pulling out the chimney, fixing the main beam, and I'm really going to let Tyler take over from here because I didn't do a whole lot of filming because we did have a lot of guys here helping us. So shout out to my brother, my brother-in-law, and my father-in-law. You guys were a huge help, and I just want to thank you so much. All right, so now here's Tyler explaining what we did and why we did it.
Hello, I'm Katelyn's husband. Doing a doing a little bit of explanation here. A little bit of what we have been doing with jacking up the house with these 6x6s and bottle jacks. The bottle jacks on top of the 6x6s, we actually have a 6x6 kind of laid on its side to increase the footprint. We're going to push up the house and then bring in our main beam, trying to have it not hang down into the headspace of our basement super far. But what we did to begin is jack up the house, And then we set some footers here. They're 2 foot wide by 2 foot deep, and they're 2 feet down. That is what I found online spec'd for this type of a load. What's going to happen is we're going to bring in 3 posts, and that should shore up our basement pretty well. Even just standing on this old floor that wasn't reinforced at all, and then stepping onto our footers, it's really, you can just feel the difference in your feet. Make sure when you're doing a job like this, if you ever approach it, to use the metal plate like that's on top of this post. Keeps your post from going into the soft fibers of the wood. Here's what you're trying to avoid. This bottle jack is actually, I don't trust it very much. It's pushing right into the soft fibers of this old 4x4. And that's what you're looking to avoid. Previously I did a job like this, but I had the bottle jacks on the bottom of the post. And that, backing up a deck in our old house. And that's not something you're going to want to have. So putting the bottle jacks down there is less advantageous than up here where you can actually see them and work with them. And if something does go wrong with them being up here, you're not crouched down and you actually have a fighting chance of making a run for it if things start to crash down on your head. And I really should have done that with all of the 5 bottle jacks that I'm using, but maybe that's a tip for the next person that's doing a job similar to this. And about the chimney. So when we brought up the house, that took the load off of the chimney and this main beam that's going to stay in the house. There was maybe only an inch on either side actually resting on the chimney. So once we had these beams here, we could remove the chimney fully, and then that'll bring enough space for our new beam to come in and then permanently carry the load of the house. Here's a good example of what this beam looks like, a cross section. This was maybe cut with a handsaw, but this, I think a lot of this notching was done with an axe, which is not very precise, and I think what we're putting in here will be a large upgrade. Additionally, you can see very little of this beam was actually resting on the chimney. This is the line of the mortar, so maybe that included what was resting on the chimney. It looks similar on this side. Maybe an inch in total was actually resting on the chimney. And you can look up, that's actually 40 feet from where Katelyn's standing, or your point of view, to the peak there. So that was a lot of bricks removed here, and that's maybe like a little bit explains the delay in our videos here. We're filming this project in real time, so stay tuned for the next episode. Again, maybe you have some pointers for us, or anyone else watching, leave a comment below.
Can you scoot back and say that about the bottle jack?
Yeah, well, yeah, we're doing this all in one take, but and that's about that. Cut.